Hey, what's up guys? Rudelinel here, come back at you with another batch tutorial. Alright, now in the last couple of videos, we've been building our own functions and our own tools and utilities that would allow us to create some pretty cool, data types. We were able to work with variables in a really unique way, and that allowed us to make some strings, some arrays, and actually get a good amount of information out of them. And it really kind of turned batch around for us in the scope of a scripting language, because now we can do so much more with it. It's almost like a little bit of Python if you're that kind of person. But hey, now, in this video, before we jump into anything too data type related, I want to knock out some of the pretty simple functions that we want to try and build all on our own. So today I want to introduce you guys the minimum function, and what we're going to be working with as the minimum function is getting the smallest value in an array or in a list. So let's check this out. What I want to do here is create our own script. As usual, it's going to be another global tool. So I'll save this one as get minimum. At minimum. Okay. And we'll do add echo off as usual. Oh, I saved this as a text file. My bad. Let me delete that on the other side. Okay. Add echo off. And now the syntax that I'm going to use with this is usually going to be call get minimum. And then here we'll pass in the array name and then the return name. Because I don't want it to be returning anything, but I want it to be modifying a single variable that I pass to it. So that's a little ugly and a little bit of a strange way to do things, but because batch doesn't have its own return function, this is kind of the best way to go about things, so I'm only using variables that I want to be working with. But keep in mind that these two are going to be strings, and strings that we're going to be working with. So let's check it out though. Let's see what we can really do here. Normally we would just go ahead and start looping, and we're going to be looping through our our array that we're going to be working with, and it's going to be g in, we'll start from 0, go to 1, and then go up until our length, the length of our array name, or our array in our case. So it'll be array name underscore length, because that's the notation, the syntax that we set up. But batch isn't going to stop when it gets there, it's going to go one step beyond, and that'll sort of turn off our final value too. So we don't really want to do that. We want to set up our own limit, and we're going to do that right up at the top here. If I set limit to equal, and I'm going to use dash a here because it's arithmetic, the length subtract 1, because I don't want it to go that one step beyond. And here I'll go ahead and pass the value of limit in for our stop. So it really does act as a limit. Now we're inside of our loop, and actually we can test if this is the first value. Because if it is, if g is equal to 0, I think we can actually use EQ here, EQU here, and what that will do is we'll know that, okay, this is the first element, and we can go ahead and set a variable here, and I'll call mine minimum to keep it real easy, and it's going to be the value of our array accessing the index from the current position. So there you go. But now we need to figure out, okay, what if this isn't the first position? What if we actually need to be working with stuff? Well, we'll have an else statement in here, and we can go ahead and test if the value of our current position inside of the array is less than what we know for the minimum so far. Then what we can do is go ahead and set the minimum to equal the current position one more time. So I can just copy that all in, and then we're all done looping. We're actually all done. Now what we need to do is actually set the return value, at least the return right now up here, the second argument that we pass in, that can equal minimum. The value of minimum anyway. Okay, so now let's actually try and create this. If I save this as script.bat, I'll overwrite whatever's there. And this is just a typical script for us, set local, enable, delayed expansion. Now keep in mind, our get minimum script does not have delayed expansion turned on, but it is going to be using it. So it's using that same sort of idea and mindset as our create array script, that it's going to be inheriting the environment from an external script. So be wary when you use it. And I'll create a main function. Okay. Now I'll create an array. I'll call mine list of numbers. It's really integers, but I'll have it to be with a delimiter of a comma. I'll set like 45, 534, 2, 65, 7, negative 2, negative 34, and how about 1? So now, what we can do is go ahead and actually call get minimum. And what this will do is go ahead and we'll pass in the name of our variable, list of numbers here, and the return that I want it to be is min. How about that? Now if I call cmd right now, go ahead and run script, nothing's going to happen because it only filled the value of min in here. We need to actually echo that out. So if I echo out the value of min, what do you think it's going to be? Negative 34. Because that is the smallest integer here. Negative 34 is less than negative 2. Negative 2 is less than 1. 1 is less than 2, and yada yada yada. This is going to be perfect for finding us the minimum value. So that's all you really need, guys. Personally, I'm going to move this into my system path because I want this to be a tool that I can give access to pretty often. But thank you guys though, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye.